the 30th convocation ceremony of our university. As a matter of fact, we kickstart this ceremony last week Friday with Jumat service, and it continued on Sunday with an interdenominational church service at Chapel of Grace. And on Thursday, we hosted pressmen for a press conference marking this convocation ceremony. And immediately after the press conference, projects that are very germane to the success, growth, and development of our universities were commissioned by prominent Nigerians and illustrious sons of the soil, particularly by the paramount ruler of Yewa land and the Olu of Ilaro, Oba Dr. Kehinde Olugbenle, and the Olowu of Owu, Oba Professor Saka Matemilola, and the permanent secretary from FCT were all here to commission the project. And yesterday, we give glory to God because this auditorium hosted convocation ceremony for the award of first degrees. And we thank God that Funaab yesterday displayed the fact that it's an embodiment of tradition of academic and moral excellence. This morning and today, we are rounding up the 30th convocation ceremony of our university with the convocation for the award of higher degrees and postgraduate diplomas holding here. I'm pleased to inform you that already our convocation lecturer is around already, and very soon she will be joining us here. I'm talking of no other person than the former Minister for Education, our own honorary awardee, a chieftain of World Bank, a woman of many parts, in person of Dr. Obi Ezekusili. She's around already, and very soon she will be joining the procession that will be coming in to preside over the affairs of today. And immediately after the convocation ceremony, because that one is exclusive, I'm not going to announce it. The invitees, they are aware already. Meanwhile, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to inform you that we have some of our eminent personalities already seated with us this morning. Okay. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I've just been informed that in due course we shall be having the procession. But in the meantime, permit me to acknowledge the presence of the following dignitaries in our midst this morning. We are pleased to have them in our midst. Our immediate past Pro-Chancellor and Chairman Governing Council is seated with us already. Alhaji Umar Ahmed CNA. You are most welcome, sir. We are pleased to also have in our midst this morning our Baba, the paramount ruler and the Alake of Egba land, Oba Adedotun, Dr. Aremu Gbadebo, CFR, Okukenufo, who is being ably represented by Alake in Council, and I'm pleased to welcome the Bantu of Egba land, Chief Kehinde Shofenwa, and our highly revived high chiefs. We are glad to have you with us this morning. On behalf of the university, the management, you are most welcome, sir. I'm pleased to also inform the gathering that we have in our midst this morning. Please pardon me, I'm not following any order of hierarchy. We have with us this morning our pioneer university librarian in person of Dr. Taufik Salisu. You are most welcome, sir. And beside him is also our pioneer registrar, Mama Princess Bisi Shoboyejo. You are most welcome, ma. Beside our Mama, I want to announce the arrival of our former Vice Chancellor, the icon that will name this sprawling auditorium after, Professor Oluwafemi Olaiya Ogbon Imo Atoye Balogun, the one that we dubbed, that we are still celebrating, and the one that we continue to celebrate as the architect of modern Funaab. This auditorium, as sprawling and spacious as it is named after this silent achiever. You see him trying to exchange pleasantries, exchange banters with other dignitaries there. Professor O.O. Balogun, you are most welcome, sir. We are glad to have you in our midst. Thank you, sir. Beside our Mama, we have a former acting Vice Chancellor of our university, Professor Ololade Enikwomeyin. You are most welcome, sir. We have with us this morning a renowned researcher, an icon whose groundbreaking research carved a niche for our university, put us in the world map of ivory towers internationally. We call him Mama Funaab Alpha. She is our emeritus professor, Professor Oluwafunmilayo Ayoka Adebambo. Mama mi ò tẹ́ pé lórúkọ microphone ni o. You are most welcome, ma. And beside her, we have our own senior registrar in charge of establishment academics, Mrs. Toyin Daudu. You are most welcome, ma. We also have in our midst this morning a man with deep sense of humor, a good mixer anytime, any day, always jolly, and yet an embodiment of intellect. Our former DVCA, Professor Igodaro Eromosele. You are most welcome, sir. Yes, you see him there exchanging pleasantries, interacting with Professor O. Balogun. And beside him there is another former Deputy Vice Chancellor, academics, an encourager who has inspired us a lot. We are talking of our own, always smiling, ever impacting, Professor Tony Arowolo, former DVCA. You are most welcome, sir. What God has joined together, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let's know anchorman compare what have you put asunder. We are blessed to have also in our midst this morning our former Deputy Vice Chancellor of Academics, a woman of many parts, an embodiment of intelligence, our own Professor Mrs. Oluwayemisi Eromosele. You are most welcome, ma'am. I'm pleased to inform you that not too long ago, there was an inaugural lecture in this university. That inaugural lecture is still distinct today. The inaugural lecture was about Queen's English. And she delivered the lecture with the diction of Queen's English that even made the then Queen of England to be green with envy. I'm talking of our former DVCA announcing the arrival of the Balogun of Gbagura, Chief Festus Kehinde. You are most welcome, sir. Balogun Gbagura, with his presence, you have the Gbagura Kingdom here this morning. You are most welcome, sir. Continue with my previous, yet to be concluded introduction. We have a former DVCA, a former Dean of Colamrod, a communicator par excellence, a quintessential media guru, Professor Mrs. Bolanle Akeredolu Ale. There's iPhone, Akeredolu Ale. Please give her a round of applause, please. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm deliberately doing this because by the time we kickstart this program, it's most likely we won't be chance to acknowledge all these eminent personalities, though everybody here is important. I'm seeing one of our founding fathers. I'm just citing Baba and Mama right now. I'm just citing you. We are glad to have you in our midst. We are glad. We thank you for what you did with Nestle for Funaab, sir. We are happy to have you here. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please with a thunderous round of applause, join me in welcoming Professor and Professor Mrs. Ogutono. I think I'm right. Professor and Professor Mrs. Ogutono, Baba, you are most welcome. You are most welcome, ma. I think Clara Ogutono, am I right? Oh, I got it. Professor Mrs. Clara Ogutono, you are most welcome, Baba. Professor Ogutono, you are most welcome, sir. Thank you so much. And right, also we have another emeritus professor, one of the founding fathers of Copeland. He's our emeritus professor, and we are pleased to have him here this morning. Baba, Professor, Emeritus Professor Adetunji, you are most welcome, sir. Please, let's give him a round of applause. Sir, you are looking younger and aging with grace too, sir. We thank God for your life. Thank you, sir. And also, beside Baba, we have the Dean of Kolanim, the Dean of Kolani. He has contributed immensely to the development of Kolani, one of our colleges, and the university at large. Professor I.T. Omoniyi, you are most welcome, sir. You are most welcome, sir. And this morning, we are blessed to also have in our midst. We are pleased that you are with us here this morning. A man of many parts, former chairman of CERICOM, many appointments that through which he has been able to impact positively on the collective cycle of this university. He's a former DVCA. He's not looking 70. He just retired, waxing stronger. I'm talking of Professor Chris Onwuka. You are most welcome, sir. Former DVCA. And we are pleased to have the pioneer registrar of Petroleum University Efuru, former acting registrar on many occasions in our university. I'm blessed to also have him as my boss and former predecessor as the emeritus. Let me put emeritus. I don't want to wear the same shoe with you, man. Emeritus, head of public relations before me. I don't want to share the same shoe with you, or else I will just be going home limping. Dr. Mrs. Linda Ogwogwo Onwuka, you are most welcome, ma. Please, let us give it to her. We also have in our midst this morning former Director of Audit, Mr. Amubode. You are most welcome, sir. A deputy bossa. Permit me to introduce you like that today. We thank God for what God is doing in your life. On person of Mr. Oshinoga, you are most welcome. The acting director of physical planning, Mrs. Akinshola, you are most welcome. You want to say that in the course of this program, the protocols officer are already getting the names of dignitaries. The one that is far mightier than me will acknowledge the presence of all other eminent personalities in this auditorium. In the meantime, I want to say greatest of the greatest Funabites. You are not like our student. I'm going to job. When you greatest of the greatest of the greatest Funabites. Yeah. I'm not hearing you. Don't allow fuel subsidy to affect you. You are doing a thing of joy today. Don't worry, Nigeria is going to be better. It took America long years before they got to where they are today. We are getting there. Greatest Funabites. I'm not comfortable. You are not here yesterday. I want to hear from the male graduates now. Greatest Funabites. No, I want it in baritone. Baritone. Greatest Funabites. We are close to it. Everybody, greatest of the greatest of the greatest of the greatest of the greatest Funabites. Some is speaking simply because some of you are product of UI. But we beat your UI. We beat Unilag. All this grandpa university, we beat them. The current rating, we are the reigning, we are the rave of the moment, and we continue to shine. We are the best public university, and you are graduating at a time that Funaab is the best public university in Nigeria. Greatest Funabite, greatest Gagaga. I want to welcome all our postgraduate graduates this morning. You are most welcome. All our parents, our invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and CERICOM members, ceremonial committee members, the chairman, Professor Ado Bakri, everybody is welcome. We are happy once again to have with us this morning all our eminent personalities, particularly the man which positively changed the facet of this university, the man whose infrastructural development drive is second to none, the man whose vision is enviable, the man whose focus is unwavering. This man came in, he became Vice Chancellor, and he transformed our university. And today, the legacies are speaking volume of his appreciable impact. There is no way we will not continue to celebrate the one that we call Ogbon Oye, the one that we call the architect of modern Funaab, Baba Professor Oluwafemi Olaiya Balogun. Baba, we celebrate you. Tabati rí yín, inú wa máa ń dùn ni. This all, we name this all after Baba. If you are comfortable sitting down in this hall, I'm talking of cozy comfort, and you believe that this hall is spacious enough, this hall is beautiful, this hall befits the standard of the best public university in Nigeria, please give a round of applause to Professor Balogun and all the eminent personalities from Funaab that are seated here today. Agbanya túbọ̀ dalẹ̀ o, bàbá ẹ máa dògbó, ẹ máa fèrègì jóbi, ẹ tẹ̀ pa lẹ̀kẹ̀ o, lábúrò oníṣẹ̀lẹ̀ sí yín. We have them here this morning, pioneer, they labor for the university. Well, Dr. Tafik Salisu, pioneering work is not easy. He pioneered Nimbe Adedepe Library. We thank you, sir. Mama, the pioneer registrar, she's still a reference point today. A reference point. Mama Princess Bishoboyejo. And of course, our former acting Vice Chancellor. On Sunday, he gave us a message that if you all key into it and imbibe it, I want to tell you that Funaab is unstoppable. Professor Ladi Eniku Umeyu. Thank you, Mama. Funaab Alpha. Groundbreaking research. Eshe Adupe. Oju Onitiyin. All our babas and mamas there, we thank you. In the meantime, please, let's be seated while I'm imploring graduates who are yet to come into the auditorium to please move in right now. Parents, we acknowledge your presence. Guardians of today's graduates, we acknowledge you. Everybody is important. If you know you are happy to be here, please give yourself a round of applause, please. Louder, please. Thank you so much. I want to welcome the highly revered high chiefs of our Chancellor, His Eminence Eridem Ekpo Okon Abasiotu 5, the Obong of Calabar, the natural ruler, the treaty king, and the patriarch and paramount ruler of Efik Ebrutu Kingdom. The Etubums are here. Please give the Etubums a round of applause. The Etubums are here. They are the high chiefs, highly revered, reputed. We are glad to have you. You have been with us since Wednesday or Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you for your contributions to the development of our university. You are most welcome, sirs. You are most welcome. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please fasten your seatbelts, because I want to rest assure you that the flights of this important 30th convocation ceremony for the convocation of the award of higher degrees and postgraduate diplomas will soon take off. In the meantime, permit me to just talk briefly, or to mention briefly to you about our inaugural lecturer, our convocation lecturer rather, beg your pardon, our convocation lecturer. I want to dig beneath the surface of the name, Dr. Obiageli Ezekoseli. She is an economic policy expert. She is an advocate of transparency, accountability, good governance, and human capital development. She is an humanitarian activist. Okay. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, shall we all rise for the procession right now? Let's stand for the procession, please. Let's rise for the procession. The procession is coming in. Let me tell you the divisions that we have in the academic procession that is coming in right now. The first division, we have there in Deputy Registrar, Student Affairs, leading the university, scholars, and student representatives, alumni association executives. The first division's procession, academic procession, is coming in right now. Let's remain standing. The first division, we have there Deputy Registrars, Student Affairs, leading university scholars and students representatives, as well as alumni association executives. In the second division of the academic procession, we have principal assistant registrar, registrar's office, leading members of congregations who are members of Senate or Council. We have in the third division, principal assistant registrar, Senate and admission, leading members of Senate, head of departments, directors of academic centers, deans of colleges, and university orators. In the fourth division, we have deputy registrar, examinations and records, leading university librarian, university bursar, registrars of other universities, vice chancellors of other universities, and executive secretary, NUC. The 5th division, we have the Mace Bearer, leading the university registrar, former principal officers, former pro-chancellors, deputy vice-chancellor academic, deputy vice-chancellor development, of course, the vice-chancellor, the chancellor, members of the Federal Executive Council, governors, and the visitor to the university. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, I've cited the Vice Chancellor of Caleb University, Professor Wensibie. That means that we are having Vice Chancellors of University coming in. You are most welcome. Professor Babatunde Idowu, you are cited, you are most welcome. Professor Sholarin Baba, I cited you, you are most welcome, sir. And of course, right now we are having our principal officers coming in, Dr. Kehinde Abayomi Owolabi, University Librarian, you are welcome. The Deputy Bursar, Mr. Chukwumike Ezekwiazu, the Registrar, Dr. Akinbola Adekola, the DVC Development, Professor Kola Adebayo, the DVCA, Professor Christian Ndubusi Kiobi, and of course, the woman, the Amazon, the prominent Nigerian, the illustrious Nigerian, the Convocation lecturer that you have been waiting for. Please, with a round of applause, join me in welcoming Dr. Mrs. Obiageli Ezekosili. You are most welcome. Please, let's give a round of applause. You are most welcome. And of course, our own Chancellor, His Eminence, Edidem Ekpo Okon Abasi 025, the Obang of Calabar, the national ruler, the Treaty King, and the Patriarch of Efik, Ebrutu Kingdom. You are most welcome, sir. The Vice Chancellor, our own Vice Chancellor, Professor Olushola Babatunde Kehinde. You are all welcome, sirs. Glad to have you with us. Without wasting time, Funaab Anthem.
Our
Let's sustain the applause for our university to the glory of God. Let's be seated, please. The visitor to our university, top government functionaries here seated, our Chancellor, our highly revered Convocation lecturer, principal officers, deans and directors, former principal officers here seated, Your Royal Highnesses, other members of the academic procession, the graduates of today, parents, guardians. Because of time factor, may I plead with you passionately to say all other courtesies duly extended. At this juncture, I want to humbly introduce to this gathering eminent personalities that will be spearheading the 30th convocation ceremony for the award of higher degrees and postgraduate diplomas. First and foremost, I want to introduce the Chancellor of our university, our Baba, His Eminence, His Royal Eminence, Edidem Okun Abbas 25, the Obong of Calabar, the natural ruler, the treaty king, the patriarch, and of course, the paramount of Efik Ebruto Kingdom. Baba, you are most welcome, sir. Glad to have you with us this morning. Please, I'm going to start from our guest this morning. We have in our midst this morning our home convocation lecturer, who is a revered economic policy expert, an advocate for transparency, accountability, and good governance, renowned as human capital development guru, a humanitarian, and an activist by excellence. I'm not worthy to introduce her. Very soon, the one that is far, far bigger than me will do that. We are glad to have in our midst this morning the former Minister for Education. And of course, we are very proud in this university to have you, ma, as our honorary doctoral awardee. Dr. Mrs. Obiageli Ezekoseli, you are most welcome, ma. This morning, I want to also introduce a visionary leader who barely 5 months in office works to the extent that this university is currently the best public university in Nigeria and the second best university in Nigeria, both at private and public as facets. I'm talking of no other person than our Vice Chancellor, Professor Olushola Babatunde Kehinde. You are most welcome, sir. The Deputy Vice Chancellor of Academics, Professor Christian Ikiobi. You are welcome, sir. The Deputy Vice Chancellor of Development, Professor Kolawole Adebayo. The Registrar, Dr. Bola Adekola. The Bursar, Mr. Chukwuike Ezekpiazo. And of course, we have with us the University Librarian, Dr. Abayomi Owolabi. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we also have with us this morning the immediate past Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of Governing Council, Alhaji Umar Ahmed CNA. You are most welcome, sir. We have also with us members of immediate past Governing Council, Alhaji Inuwa Chaha. You are welcome. Mr. Adegboyega Adebajo, you are welcome. Dr. Selina Ghana, you are welcome. Mrs. Lawal, you are welcome. And Dr. Olusegun Ogundiran, you are welcome. We have with us this morning also the paramount ruler of Egba land, and of course the Alaki of Egba land, Oba Adedotun Aremu Gbadebo CFR Okenufo, who is being ably represented this morning by the Bantu of Egba land, Chief Kehinde Shofenwa, and all other highly revered high chiefs. You are most welcome, sir. We also have with us this morning the high chiefs of His Eminence, the Obang of Calabar, the Etubums. In due time, we shall be properly recognized. You are most welcome, sir. And we have with us this morning our former vice chancellors, the one that we name this auditorium after. They refer to him as the architect of modern Funaab, our own Professor Oluwafemi Olayabalogu. You are most welcome, sir. We also have with us the immediate past vice chancellor, the sixth substantive vice chancellor of our university, Professor Felix Kolawole Salako, FSSN. You are most welcome, sir. This morning we have with us a former acting vice chancellor in person of Professor Ololade Enikomeyi. You are most welcome. We also have former principal officers in our midst this morning. I recognize the first and the pioneer university librarian, Dr. Taufik Salisu. You are most welcome, sir. Because of time factor, okay. And of course, the pioneer registrar, Princess Bisi Shopo-Ijo. You are most welcome. We have with us Professor, Emeritus Professor, Mrs. Oluwafumilayo Ayoka Adebambo. You are welcome. Former DVCA, we have Professor Igodaro Eromosele. You are most welcome, sir. Former DVCA, Professor Mrs. Oluwayemisi Eromosele. You are most welcome, ma. Former DVCA, Professor Toyin Adowolo. You are most welcome. Our former DVCA, Professor Waheed Adekojo. Am I right? Yes, you are most welcome, sir. Former DVCA, Professor Chris Onwuka. You are most welcome. Former acting registrar, and of course, and former head of public relations, Dr. Ms. Linda Ouka. You are most welcome. Our Baba, a pioneer, a foundation member of our university, Professor and Mrs. Professor Clara Ogutono. You are most welcome, sir. I've cited you. And of course, we have with us Emeritus Professor Adetunji. You are most welcome, sir. And of course, our DVCA, an orator, one of our orators in university, Professor Mrs. Bolanle Akeredoluwale. You are most welcome, ma'am. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we also have the representative of Bagura Kingdom in our midst this morning, the Balogun of Bagura, Mr. Festus Kehinde. You are most welcome. And of course, we have with us a renowned mathematician, Professor Sholani. You are most welcome. Sorry, sir. You are looking like a bishop this morning. I'm sorry. You are most welcome. Please, because of time factor, I won't be able to go beyond this. At this juncture, I want to invite the registrar to continue with the proceeding here this morning. Please, let's give him a round of applause.
The Chancellor, sir. The provisions of the Federal Universities of Agriculture Act of 1992, number 48, chapter F22, statute number 1, section 4F and G, empowers the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, to hold examinations and grant degrees, diplomas, certificates, and other distinctions to persons who have pursued a course of study approved by the university and have satisfied other requirements as the university may lay down, and to grant honorary degrees, fellowships, or academic titles. Section 5 of the same law provides that the Chancellor shall preside at all meetings of convocation held for conferring degrees when he is present. I therefore have the honor and privilege to invite the Chancellor to constitute this assembly as convocation of the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, for the purpose of awarding of higher degrees and diplomas, admissions to first degree and presentation of prizes, the award of honorary degrees, fellowships, and academic title. The Chancellor, sir.
Good morning, everybody. I hereby constitute this assembly as convocation of the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, for the purpose of awarding of higher degrees and diplomas, admission to first degrees, presentation of prizes, and the award of honorary degrees, fellowships, and academic titles. Thank you.
Honorable Chancellor, sir, the convocation lecture for the 30th convocation ceremony of this great university is scheduled to hold this morning, and it is to be delivered by Dr. Mrs. Obiageli Esekwesili. May I call on the university orator, Professor Mrs. Bolanle Akeredolu Ale, to read the citation of the lecturer and invite her to deliver the convocation lecture.
Can I please ask Dr. Mrs. Esekwesili to stand and remain standing? The visitor to the university, the Chancellor, His Eminence Edidem Epo Okon Abasi II, Otu the Fifth, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Olushola Babatunde Kainde, permit me to take a position on the current courtesies. It gives me a very rare honor and privilege to present for the second time in the history of this university the profile of an accomplished woman, distinguished daughter of Nigeria and Africa, who we all know needs no further introduction because she is no other than Madam Due Process. The first time I presented her citation was in 2012 on the occasion of her award of the Doctor of Science, honoris causa, by this great university. And today, as the convocation lecturer of the 30th convocation ceremony. Dr. Obiageli Obi Catherine Esekwesili, an economic policy expert, is a senior economic advisor of the Africa Economic Development Policy Initiative and one of the co-founders and pioneer directors of Transparency International, the Berlin-based global anti-corruption organization. Dr. Ezekwesili is also the founder CEO of Human Capital Africa, working in the education sector across Africa. She is the founder chairperson of the Board of Schools of Politics, Policy and Governance, SPPG in Abuja, in Nigeria. She was a candidate for the office of the President of Nigeria in 2019 election. She became the founder chairperson of Fix Politics Initiative, a research-based citizen-led initiative. She served in the Olusegun Obasanjo administration as a pioneer head of the Budget Monitoring and Price Intelligence Unit. And it was in this position that she earned the sobriquet of Madam Due Process for creating transparency in government procurement processes. Dr. Ezekwesili was appointed Minister of Solid Minerals, Mines and Steel in June 2005, during which time she led a vibrant reform program that led to Nigeria's global recognition as a credible mining investment destination. In 2006, Mrs. Ezekwesili was appointed the Federal Minister of Education, holding this position until she took up her World Bank appointment in May 2007 as a Vice President of the World Bank, Africa region in Washington, D.C. Dr. Ezekwesili was concurrently the pioneer chairperson of the Nigerian Extractive Industry and Transparency Initiative, NEITI, in which capacity she successfully designed and implemented the global principles for Nigeria. She also worked as the director of the Harvard Nigeria Economic Strategy Project at the Center for International Development at the Kennedy School of Government, Massachusetts, in the USA. Mrs. Obi Ezekwesili has been decorated and honored with the National Award of the Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic, CFR. She has served on the boards of several national and international organizations committed to development, democracy, and accountability issues, both in Nigeria and globally. In January 2004, this woman with an amazing capacity and energy for work was given Tufts University's prestigious Dr. Jane Meyer Award for Global Citizenship. She was the recipient of the Harvard University's Distinguished Robert F. Kennedy Award for Excellence in Public Service in 2000. The Nigerian Institute of Quantity Surveyors conferred on her an honorary fellowship in recognition of her leadership of the reform of the public procurement system. She was cited in the publication Heroes of Democracy for her numerous advocacy roles. A chartered accountant and consultant by profession, she holds a master's degree in international law and international law and diplomacy, and a master's degree in public policy and administration from the Kennedy School of Government, Harvard University. And I proudly say She is an honorary awardee of Doctor of Science, honoris causa of this great university, the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. In 2016, the University Access Business School awarded her an honorary doctorate degree in business in recognition of her role in promoting economic and social justice in African countries. I can go on and on and on, but I'll make it short now. Dr. Ezekwesili was recognized as one of Time's 100 most influential people, and by the New York Times as one of the 25 women of impact in 2015. Albert Einstein Foundation named her one of 100 visionaries featured in the 3D book titled Genius: 100 Visions of the Future. She was a Richard von Weizsäcker Fellow at the Robert Bosch Academy in Berlin, Germany. It's difficult to just keep all these numerous awards. Dr. Ezekwesili has received numerous awards and has served on boards of numerous national and international organizations. Very long one, but I decided to pick just a few. Board of Trustees, the International Bureau of Fiscal Documentation, Honorary Member, Committee of the Trans-Montana African Women's Forum, Board of Director of the Economic Policy Think Tank Afri Heritage, Ambassador, International IDEA IDEA, member of the Global Advisory Board of Facebook's Community Leadership Program, and Senior Fellow at Yale-Jackson Institute for Global Affairs in the US. That is not all. The Peace Research Institute Oslo listed her as one of the potential candidates for the 2018 Nobel Peace Prize and was selected as a 2020 Global Leadership Awards honoree by the Vital Voices for her leadership role in the field of human rights, economic empowerment, and political reform. She is a globally renowned speaker, need we say more, and contributor to numerous studies and publications on economic policy, transparency, accountability and governance, human capital development, and Africa economic prospects. Once again, the Chancellor, sir, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is this accomplished, gallant, and special citizen, this renowned economist and chartered accountant, this excellent and committed person, and a humble wife and devoted mother, that is the Convocation lecturer of the 30th Convocation ceremony of the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, Dr. Obiageli Obi Catherine Ezekwesili.
Oh, wow. That is really awesome. Thank you for welcoming me with that lovely song, extolling academia. It is not every day you see people around our continent being excited about intellectual activities. And so I am really happy to hear the younger generation of Nigerians say that this is the way they have decided to. Amazing. Your Excellency, the Obang, the Pro-Chancellor of this great university, what a pleasure to see you. You still look very healthy to me. I know the Obang as a great Nigerian who has very interesting path to what he ultimately became as a traditional ruler. We want more traditional rulers of your kind. All the traditional rulers that are at this event today, I recognize your royal thrones, and I am very delighted to be amongst you and the honorees that came with you. The governor of Ogun State obviously represented, the Minister of Education obviously, oh, we don't even have one yet. Okay. The Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Agriculture, I found you. Yes, yes, representing the federal government at this event. The Chancellor and Chairman of, yeah, I did that already. You know, when I was in government, I was known as the one who didn't have any time for protocols. It took too much time. Members of the federal and state judiciary that are here, the Executive Secretary, National Universities Commission, represented, Executive Secretary of Tertiary Education Trust Fund, the Director Tertiary Education, Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, Director Tertiary Education, Federal Ministry of Education, immediate past Pro-Chancellor and Chairman, Funaab Governing Council, Alhaji Umar Ahmed, CNA, Vice Chancellors, Provosts, and Rectors of all other institutions that are visiting this occasion, Deputy Vice Chancellors and other principal officers of the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, deans, directors, heads of academic and administrative departments and units, distinguished professors and members of the University Senate and Congregation. I particularly want to say very distinguished parents of the graduating students, because you have distinguished yourselves by producing graduates from Funaab. If nobody celebrates you, be like the Agama lizards today and nod your heads, because it is not easy to take children through university education. And of course, the amazing graduating class of 2023 of Funaab, as well as the distinguished guests who are attending this occasion. I just really want to say that I left the Vice Chancellor for last, Professor Olushola Babatunde Kehinde. Thank you so very much for inviting me, together with your Senate, to be your Convocation Day lecturer for 2023. Your very distinguished academic footprints are well known to me, and I have to say that it mattered in my deciding whether to come. Then I want to recognize the fourth Vice Chancellor of this university, Professor Balogun. I think that those of you who are associated with this university will agree with me that when merit is the basis for choosing leadership, we do get it right. I know that your time as the Vice Chancellor of this university is evidently reported to have been a very turning point moment for the university. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been asked to speak on a very interesting topic of education systems and youth development. The university said that it would love to hear me speak about this topic, and I reckon that the reason the university decided that this topic is the appropriate one for this occasion is that it realizes that there's a strong nexus between tertiary education, youth unemployment, and everything related to development of society. Education stands as the cornerstone of societal progress, serving as the key to unlocking the limitless potential of the children and young people of any society. Education is the foundation upon which nations have built prosperous futures. Do not be fooled. The emphasis by nations on our continent on natural resources is a misguided one. There is no pathway to economic prosperity of nations that has shown a large number of natural resources rich countries at the top of the economic league table of the world. It has always taken societies that placed emphasis on education as a critical component in human development to be at the top of the prosperity league table. However, to effectively address the challenges and the opportunities that the topic offers us, it is important for us to situate it within a context. I believe that the context within which you wanted this topic is because as empathetic leaders, you already are worried about the future of the graduates that will live here today with their certificates. And for that, I applaud you, because leadership without empathy is of no use to society. Ladies and gentlemen, our educational system should be the catalyst for nurturing well-rounded individuals who possess not only academic knowledge, but also critical thinking skills, emotional intelligence, and a sense of civic responsibility. It should be that our education system would empower our children and our young people to become active participants in nation building, capable of tackling complex problems and driving sustainable development. I remember my time as Minister of Education of Nigeria between June 2006 to April 2007. I was hardly 1 year as a Minister of Education of our country. I remember that I had to frame a purpose for the Ministry of Education. Because when purpose is not understood, abuse is inevitable. And so it was entirely necessary for us to ponder what the purpose of existence of the Ministry of Education at that time was. And we concluded that we would be a Ministry of Education that would create the environment for nurturing the mind, creating a good society, and the people that can compete globally. It was our vision statement. Because without a vision, a nation perishes. I don't know what a vision is, so some of you might know now, but I do know that we defined one for education at that time. Nurture the mind, create a good society that can compete globally. It was a three-pronged vision. Ladies and gentlemen, we determined that we could not simply have education system that had no basis on which it could be accountable. And so we designed our mantra as being an education sector and an education system and sector that educates for character, aptitudes, and our needs. Character, aptitude, and our needs. And we said at that time that our slogan was, we can. We educate for character, aptitude, and our needs. The mistake I made was that we did not patent we can. Otherwise, Obama would have had to pay me a lot of money when he subsequently made that a popular slogan around the world. Now, what is an educational system? Well, it generally refers to the structures and institutions that create a platform for all activities that happen within the field of education as a sector to support the education of the citizens and other residents of a country. It usually includes all preschool institutions, starting from family education and or early childhood education through kindergarten, primary, basic, secondary, and tertiary education. And there are spheres and issues within education systems. So for example, at that time, we identified that issues within education system that were important included the matter of special needs education. We agreed based on evidence that we needed to pay emphasis to non-formal education. We needed to pay attention to informal, not just non-formal education, but we needed to pay attention to informal education. And so all education systems are governed by a body of laws, policies, and rules for the purpose of regulating the activities that support the functioning of the sector. You of course know that the education system of Nigeria is based on the notion of at least 1 year of preschool. Unfortunately, this tends to be the exclusive preserve of the middle income class of our society. But what has been proven is that it should be accessible to all children of any nation. And a country that has strong evidence of how much of a difference it makes is a country like Finland. Finland ensures equitable access to early childhood education as an important foothold for children to build a pathway to accomplishments and attainments in other levels of education. Then we have our basic education, which is 3 years, 6 years of what was primary education, and 3 years of junior secondary education. And the concept of unbroken path of 6 years primary education and 3 years of basic education, uninterrupted, was essentially to ensure that we are not living people at levels that no longer meet the gamut of knowledge that anybody who can function in the global society that we have today should have. So whereas it was entirely possible for a child with primary education of old to effectively function within society, no longer by the turn of the millennium could you accept 6 years of schooling as a minimum level to function in society. And so the education system became the necessity for children to definitely school for 9 years as a basic qualification in this country. I don't know what has become of that, but in countries like Singapore and South Korea that we like to envy, it is getting this kind of level of schooling, even if the person does not do any other thing. 9 years of uninterrupted schooling gives them the tools on the basis of which to engage the world that they are in. And then 3 years of secondary education, and finally 4 years of the tertiary education. It stands to reason that this strong nexus between the youth, tertiary level education, and jobs that persuaded you to ask me, a former minister of education, to speak to this topic is the right one. I view education system as a system. People call it education system, but they end up cannibalizing it, and it stops being a system in the approach that it is handled. We cannot cannibalize a system and get the output and the outcomes that systems can offer. Education system, as laid out, is an integrated whole. An integrated whole cannot operate as silos. Unfortunately, what we have is not a system. We have a chaotic hodgepodge and patchwork of activities that don't speak to themselves and operate to produce people who then do not reflect the national need for development. Ladies and gentlemen, a system is always interconnected. And in that interconnection, because I am one who cannot speak a word around issues of policy without evidence, I must tell you that studies and research have shown that those early years of primary and basic, that I call basic education, that is the foundational levels of education, Mr. Vice Chancellor, Sir Pro-Chancellor, distinguished audience, is the most important level of education. Foundational level of education, not tertiary, is the most important of the interconnected, integrated system approach to view education. I am very well aware that I stand before a very distinguished cast of academics. Your credentials are unimpeachable. I do want to carry you along, though, and say to you that every time academics of Nigerian universities just luxuriate in their ivory towers and think of tertiary education as though it were an isolated idea, they destroy education. You should never do this. As a matter of fact, if the only message I leave with Funaab is for all of you, the academics of this institution, to become the greatest champion for this nation to fix foundational level education, I would have done a good job today. Ladies and gentlemen, research found that foundational levels are most critical in determining all other stages, especially the performance of tertiary level education. When a child has completed 16 years of unbroken schooling, they should, in normal circumstances, be ready to face society positively as an educated adult. Your topic of Nigerian educational system and youth development is of utmost importance, and therefore it becomes necessary for us to do a short evaluation of the Nigerian educational system to see how it weighs against some of the key considerations that have mattered to education systems that have delivered top performance of their citizens and use that as a basis to ace the complex issues of development. An attempt to evaluate our educational system would necessarily consider issues of access, equity, quality, and relevance. Access is really to ensure that education is accessible to all, regardless of their socio-economic backgrounds or geographical locations. It is our duty to remove barriers and provide equal opportunity for every Nigerian child to receive a minimum standard quality education. It should not discriminate against the children of the poor. Access is the basis of equality of opportunity. Economic evidence has shown that it is equality of opportunity, not necessarily equality of outcomes from those opportunities, that determine how inclusive a society can be. Inclusion, the idea of inclusivity, ensuring that no one is left behind, is the basis for cohesion, is the basis for stability, is the basis for society to make progress without creating the seeds of implosion. The middle class of our continent, not just our country, have a proclivity to ignore issues of equality of opportunity. Sadly, they do so not realizing that they put themselves up for failure. The reason is the basic concept of enlightened self-interest should guide the kinds of ways that we ignore issues of equality of opportunity for education. Those children of the poor that the middle class has left behind, they have grown to a scale where those that left them behind can no longer live in peace. It mattered to me that we should reform the public school system in this country, because I could see the evidence of where it was taking us. If any of you ever lay hold on the reform document at the time that I was minister, you would be shocked that as of 2006, I said to the nation that if we did not urgently reform the public school system in order to make it a system that would give quality education to the children of the poor, we would grow a massive base of criminal young people who would take on our society. In 2006, a friend of mine read the document some years ago and said, in the document you said by the year 2025. Well, Obi, it came earlier. It's not a good thing that I predicted and it came to pass. I don't see that. You can't predict something that we could have solved and we allowed it to come to pass. But it happened. So, access. And I have been hearing a lot of public conversation around the issue of funding education. And so the concept of how do you finance education in an environment, in a context of constrained public resources? How do you finance all the levels of education when the amount on the table does not go round? How do you ensure quality of education at all levels when the federal budget, even if you gave it to all the universities, would not sufficiently address the needs that they have? How then do you do it? How do you walk this through? And there's a lot of emotional conversation that goes on. But let me say a simple thing to you today. Have you ever wondered how it is that the middle class are able to pay as much as $10,000 for their children to go to fancy private schools, for kindergarten, for primary, and then for secondary? Have you ever wondered? Are you pretending? And so why are you looking at me like that now? You brought a real person to speak to you. I'm not one of those speakers that will come and just, speak. I'm not. It would be a poor use of my time to do that. Thank you so much. They pay, middle class of this country would pay $10,000 for the most sophisticated education, private education at primary and secondary levels for their children, and then become the most vocal people when it comes to the issue of how we can finance tertiary education. If you look at economic evidence shows clearly that the most important public investment in education is at the foundational level. It is, because it addresses this important issue of inclusion, of equality of opportunity, of equity. When you campaign and say all the monies available for education should go toward tertiary education, you're campaigning for less than 4% of those who could be educated to guzzle the resources of the nation. You know what you're doing? You're actually saying that the more than 70% of children, of families that would not go to tertiary level education should be left behind in failing public school systems, while the middle class Nigerians continue to do well for themselves. That is wicked. That is wicked. The pathway for addressing the importance of tertiary education, which is very good for the purposes of sophistication in economic development pathway, is to look at all the beneficiaries of the output of a university degree. You look at all the beneficiaries, you find that what society benefits in ensuring that everybody has a minimum of 9 years of schooling is much more a benefit to all of us compared to what happens when just a few people have access to university education that takes a disproportionate amount of the public finance that is available. So what do countries do in this difficult situation? Because it is indeed a difficult situation. It is difficult. Strong arguments on both sides. What they do is to be guided by evidence. Let the data tell us how to allocate the cost for tertiary education to the different parties that will benefit from that one more person that graduates from Funaab. Let's not have emotional conversations on this topic, because we consign more and more the children of the poor to being trapped in what I call intergenerational poverty. It's an intergenerational dynasty of poverty, where the great-grandfather was poor and handed over poverty to the grandfather. And the grandfather handed over poverty to the father. And the father is waiting to hand over poverty to the son or the daughter. We must break the chain of dynasty of poverty that is created. Ladies and gentlemen, on that conversation, what you should say to the government is, show us the data. What did I say? Show us the data. The reason is, in God we trust. All other persons must come with their data. Because when we see the data, we can then use that as a basis to determine how to equitably allocate the resources and then support the university system in the way that one of the things that I had as part of my reform was university autonomy. It was one of my reforms. But I remember then that the Academic Staff Union wanted to have their cake and eat it. You want autonomy, but you wanted to be financed full scale by the government. You wanted autonomy, but you forgot that in an autonomy environment, university autonomy environment, which is the best thing that universities need, because there must be academic freedom of thought. You don't need anybody guiding your thought. You shouldn't worry who the Minister of Education is. What's your business with her? In a state of autonomy, you just get your work done. You're a professor, you're an academic, you're an intellectual, and your business is to produce knowledge. And so, one of the things we said was, for autonomy, you also then would have a merit-based approach, where the reward for an excellent obong cannot be the same reward for a not so excellent obong. Is that not easy to tell? So how do you get autonomy and want to remain with collective bargaining? If I pay an excellent obong 1 million naira, I must pay a dollared obong 1 million naira. In what society does that work? We distorted our incentive and regime mechanism to regulate behavior, and we're surprised that our society has gone dismal like this. No, let nobody be shocked in Nigeria. If we can fix our incentive and sanction system, if we can understand the power of reward for good behavior, for effort, and the punishment for bad behavior and indolence, we would solve a lot of the problems that we have. Enough said on that matter. On equity, I told you that it goes hand in hand with accessibility. And the concept of equity is to ensure that even those who would normally not access quality education, we find a way to make sure they access it. That was why, for example, I don't know if the younger ones would not remember, even some of you, the older ones, if you did not follow reform measures during that administration, it would be hard for you to remember. But we actually had a policy of education that was taking education to the riverine areas, setting up education around trading parks, so that those who society have decided cannot access education would access education. We had not just the headers, because there was the nomadic education. We decided that there were other strands of similarly vulnerable people who were not accessing education. Why was that necessary? For equity purposes. Equity is something that every one of us as Nigerians must pay attention to. You don't do me when you say that blue is no longer blue because that blue is being worn by somebody who comes from where you come from. It's not me you're doing. Equity means that whatever be the case, equity is equity. Because it's the concept of what? Fairness. Ladies and gentlemen, the third thing was quality. Quality. Thank you so much. I don't know why they always have women bring water. Why didn't a man bring this water? Why? Surely there must be a man that works in the same department as herself. And he quietly dodged and gave the tray to her to carry. So I have committed myself to pointing out some of these things that we do without realizing the reflex with which we do it. I am not one for stupid arguments about war of the sexes, but in professional environments, I always want to make sure that we're not beginning to profile the women into certain duties and responsibilities. Quality not only encompasses the content and the curriculum, but it's also about the teaching methods. High quality education systems promote critical thinking, creativity, problem solving, and other essential skills that enable students to adapt to a rapidly changing world. I have to tell you that during my time, we had a curriculum reform. And in that curriculum reform, one of the first things that I said is we have to take history back to basic primary level. A certain minimum level of history of Nigeria and history of the world needed to be known by every Nigerian child. So we had that reform in our reform agenda. After I left, they decided to put it where they put the rest. But guess what happens? Every day, the young children that do not know some of these things will say, Obieze removed history from the Nigerian curriculum. And I read it and I say, well, you are my children, so it's not worth it to engage in any kind of this thing with you. I put history because I lived in the United States, for goodness sake. And I know that the American child you see with the level of confidence they have, it came from being told from the moment that they could reason who they are. Critical thinking was something we did not have. We still struggle with it. A lot of the times when you are engaging an African in a conversation, they don't immediately get into that critical thinking part because we're too oral. So connecting the dots ends up being an issue. Scientific inquiry, which should normally guide everything that we do, and Professor Sholarin is here. It doesn't happen. Why? Because as I was saying to you, foundational level is the most important. What these other societies do is that they have used the evidence that shows that children, by the time they are in the age of 2 to 3, is when their neurons is most ready to take in learning, to take in knowledge. And that when you cut them that early and got them into some critical thinking part, it would never leave them for the rest of life. But guess what most of our children at the age of 2 and 3 are doing? They are under the umbrella with their mother selling Ogi Baba. So what do you think happens? The children of Finland get on a coast of learning throughout life that is out of this world, because that's the reason every time in PISA, which is the global assessment of learning in school systems, they would come to the top. And most of the African countries, a few of them that get to be even assessed, are at the bottom. Why? Because Ogi Baba every day will ossify the brain. He won't give it opportunity to know any critical thinking. He cannot. I'm giving you evidence-based conversation so that we understand how these things. So when you say youth development, I could have just come here and say, youth, we must, no. The pathway to youth development is child development. Foundational literacy and numeracy, getting the quality right, making sure that the pedagogical structure on the basis of which our children are learning is right, making sure that the quality of teacher and that the teaching methods, ensuring the basic issues of curriculum that underpin the basis for lesson plans that are well designed, and that instructional materials and that the learner-centered approach would make sure that because we have ensured that all children access quality basic education, that they come out very strong. That way, we have already prepared them for youthful life. Ladies and gentlemen, relevance, so critical. Our young people are not competing amongst themselves here in Funaab. Their competition is not their classmates. And congratulations to the over 121, yeah, that have got first class from Funaab. That's a big deal. You can do yourself like this. It's a big deal. Congratulations to you. But the truth is, relevance is everything globally today. Why? We used to say at the beginning of globalization that globalization means that the world is now a village. It is so much more a village that you don't even need to sit at the village square. Your own village square could be your bedroom, and yet you're connected to this village. The generation that is graduating knows that it is not competing with the classmates that they got first class over. They are competing not with West African graduates. They are competing not with African graduates. They are competing with the top graduates anywhere in the world. And that, therefore, compels the education system to be a system that does not neglect what the world is saying about the future of work. This generation is growing out into the world space at a time when parents don't understand their own definition of work. I have had a friend of mine say, you know these young people better than I do. My son says he's doing some work. He's part of a project team. I'm seeing a lot of dollars moving around him these days. I'm wondering, is he doing Yahoo Yahoo? And I said to her, you don't know that your son is a tech guru? So which one is that? Why is that so? Because the older generation does not know that a lot of us have become candidates of museum. The world has left us behind. You have to trust in these children because they know exactly relevance. They know. All of you faculty lecturers should actually get your students to tell you what the content of the knowledge you're giving them should be. Because they have become connoisseurs of the knowledge of the work of the future in the various spaces and fields that you hold. Your ideas have become anachronistic. Do you need me to announce it to you again? Your ideas have become anachronistic. You need to be open to learning from your students now. I can tell you that some of you, when you come to class and you're teaching some of your courses, they would be busy doing something else. Do you know why? They have gone to the 4.0 of what you're teaching them. Your lesson notes are so outdated, they don't need it. So the real youth development, connecting it to foundational literacy and numeracy, is that the older generation must now become humble. There is a humility that is necessary. Intergenerational learning will be the basis of getting relevant content that the young people need to know. I hope you realize that Africa missed the agricultural revolution. Africa missed the industrial revolution. Africa missed the knowledge revolution. But Africa, as a result of the greatness of our young people, is actually not missing the information, communication, and technology revolution. As a matter of fact, it is on the basis of this particular revolution that an entire sector has emerged on our continent. And guess what? It is in ICT that Africa is contributing innovations to the rest of the world. Bringing it home to an agriculture school with plenty of science and technology involved. I dare say to you, my dear brother, Professor Shola, Babatunde, Kehinde, I need you to know that the best thing you can do for this university is for the students of this university to become the voices that tell the world that we have a vice chancellor, a pro-chancellor, a faculty that entirely has asked us to sit with them and to design the content of relevance of the education that we are getting. The kind of innovators that are sitting amongst your students, you cannot imagine. You have to give them the freedom for that innovative spirit to flourish. Do I hear an amen? You know, I'm a pastor's wife also. My husband is a pastor in the Redeemed Christian Church of God. So sometimes when you hear me preach, it is because I'm remembering that part of my life. So relevance, the skills, the knowledge, the mental acuity that is necessary, the digital literacy, the global perspective, that feeling of freedom that they can also ace the world. It's unbelievable. I get excited about those young Nigerians who have been able to master their art in being able to confront anybody with any knowledge from any part of the world. I get excited by them because the truth is, for too long, our continent cowered before everybody. I love it that the young ones dare to lift their shoulder and to say that they also can play at that global table. And so, for it not to be a few of them, we must fix foundational literacy and numeracy. Because foundational literacy and numeracy, ladies and gentlemen, is so appalling in our country and our continent. And I'm going to begin to wind down by showing you this terrible data. 9 out of every 10 African children are not achieving minimum proficiency level in literacy and numeracy. 9 out of every 10. We, the supposed elite of Africa, when we see that kind of a data, we should carry sackcloth and be mourning. And after we've done that, we should enter into the fiercest urgency to fix it. Because the solutions are known. There are proven ideas for reversing a situation where children go to their primary school, public schools mostly. They go enthusiastic learners, but the system fails them because they can do many years of that primary and basic education without learning how to read a text, a book, or doing a logical mathematical operation, whether simple or slightly complex, for a person at the age of 10. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about you, but it makes me cry. It makes me cry that we're a continent where 9 out of every 10 children are not achieving minimum proficiency level in literacy and numeracy. How are they going anywhere? They're the ones that fall by the cracks. They fall. And society continues to move, thinking it is moving. No, we're not moving. We're not moving. We're not. We must fix foundational literacy and numeracy. Our youth development policy has to start with designing a proper, inclusive, equal opportunity children policy. Because when we have decided that every child born of the rich, born of the poor, are entitled to a minimum level of knowledge that they must have, then we've become a society. This society where we all just mind our community, I wish they were even minding community. Just mind they themselves, their wives, and their children. No, we can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. You can't do that. Why? Because we're so privileged. Do you know what kind of privilege we have? Those of us that are at this level, in this hall, it's an incredible privilege. It's an amazing privilege. How then can we be so privileged and not realize the privilege that we have? My father of blessed memory would say to us in those days that the only use that privilege has is that you would use it to create privilege for others. Otherwise, he says, there's nothing to privilege other than using your privilege to ensure that many more people are privileged. We are not doing right. 9 out of 10 children are failing to learn. They are in school but not learning. There was a time that the whole world was about access. All children must go to school. Well, they turned up in school, but they are not learning, ladies and gentlemen. So what youth policy are you developing for people who you failed to give the opportunity to learn? And now they are young men who have found a way to enter into your university, but they can speak there is. We doesn't. My names are. It started when we failed them at the foundational level. Ladies and gentlemen, the speech that I have given you today may not be what you prepared yourselves for. But anybody who invites or bears a question, they already know what they are inviting. So it's caveat emptor. We must fix foundational literacy and numeracy, because the way that Funaab must look at this is we're already entering the ranks in global rankings, right? So a recent ranking found us, Funaab, to be #1 on the government-owned institutions. That already tells you that there's something there, right? But that something there will not unlock fully until we actually are championing the improvement of foundational literacy and numeracy, so that the raw material that we're receiving from that level of education is a higher quality raw material. If you have a damaged raw material and it lands at the doorstep of Funaab, Horseshoe Oniginde. As you can see, Shehu is not chicken or ngozi. Shehu Oniginde. As I was retiring from the World Bank, I was going to work something around making sure that citizens can understand public budget and public finance. I was going to do that for them, just something to do, to get some young people to focus on it. Except that this young man who graduated from your school already left his job, do exactly the same thing. And when I met him one day, I saw a child well raised at home. Because I need to come and support a country in South Africa on school. Why am I telling you this? Graduates, because he raised us and he said, is the greatest currency you can have. Currency, including the currency of a certificate. When many more people can show certificates better than yours. But you see, character, it cannot be bought. It is something entirely dependent on the choices that you make going forward. As you go to face the world, I hope another word that I got from parenting, that it is entirely okay for you to negotiate your view on a matter when someone is an intelligent person. So when superior evidence that you did not have before you formed an opinion is presented before you, you can change your view. But what my father said we must never change is our values. Do not negotiate your values. As you go forth, I want you to know that at all times, you must stay consistent to those values. The reason is that consistency is the hallmark of character. And that's why I leave every one of us with a quote, again, of my father, because as you can see, I loved him and my mother so dearly. My mother taught me how to be everything that I could be in facing all my 5 realities as a woman, to be a unique individual, to be a daughter, to be a sister, to be a wife, and to be a mom. And she was a woman of incredible wisdom. And I would always remember her with so much gratitude. And I hope that that's what will happen for all of you concerning your parents. Because my father ended on the note around integrity and said, integrity is not complete until it is consistent. I thank you.
Another round of applause for our convocation lecturer. Thank you. The Chancellor, sir, I now have the honor to invite you to come and deliver your convocation address.
Thank you. Well, let me say I've been carried aback by the convocation lecturer. I just felt I had nothing to say again because she has done everything that was supposed to be done here by what she has put before us. The visitor to the university the permanent secretary, Minister of Agriculture, traditional fathers that are here, mostly the landlord of this place, the Alake of Egbaland, sending his representative here. Thank you for coming. Please permit me to stand on the existing established protocol. It is with great pleasure that I welcome you all to the 30th convocation ceremony of this great citadel of learning. This is particularly so because the confluence of events that resulted in our having to combine the 28th and 29th academic sessions in a single ceremony convocation last year, the tenure of the chairman of council or pro-chancellor ended, followed almost immediately with the end of the tenure of the vice-chancellor. The university was still grappling with the vacuum created by these two events when the general strike that paralyzed all federal universities took place. Fortunately, the new pro-chancellor took up the helm of affairs at the board, and then that was what enabled the interview and appointment of the new vice-chancellor. It should be noted, however, that soon after his resumption of duties, the new vice-chancellor was confronted with the dissolution of boards by the new federal government administration, which meant he had no chairman or pro-chancellor to work with. Under these circumstances, the responsibility for providing support for the success of this 30th convocation has naturally fallen on the Chancellor. May I therefore use this opportunity to commend the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Olusola Babatunde Kinde, for rising to the occasion to conduct this 30th convocation, which will be the first in his tenure. Full commitment to the advancement of the institution, community service. I am glad that the university has stabilized after the prolonged strike actions of last year, which disrupted academic activities, leading to cancellation of an entire administration, virtually all public universities. I therefore wish to congratulate the Vice Chancellor, his team of administrators, and the entire university community for being able to organize this convocation ceremony within a short notice and within a few months of the graduation of the students, which is normal practice all over. I sincerely hope that this Constitutive appoint the governing council of the public universities as soon as possible. This is particularly imperative for us as the tenures of both the registrar and bursar are coming to an end, and there must be a board in place to normalize functioning of the. In general, we look forward to the education sector being given top priority by the federal government so that our higher institutions can compete favorably with other high-ranking universities in the world. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, our university has recorded some notable achievements since the 28th and 29th combined convocation held in March 2022. I have no doubt that the Vice Chancellor will highlight these laudable achievements in his address. Permit me to say unequivocally that Funaab has remained a university of excellence in the academic community, both locally and globally. We hope to live up to expectation in the years to come. Before I take my seat, I wish to bring to the notice of the visitor the need to restore our courses in the erstwhile College of Management Sciences, now known as College of Entrepreneurial and Development Studies, that were delisted under the immediate past administration. The college was established to allow greater access to higher education by the ever-increasing number of eligible candidates who are unable to access higher education due to insufficient admission spaces in the federal universities. It is therefore our earnest desire that the visitor will use his good office to ensure the restoration of the college, which had enjoyed full accreditation status, so that it can continue its contributions to national development. Let me once again congratulate all stakeholders in the university, parents, well-wishers, and especially the graduates. I wish you all success as you pursue your goals in life. God bless you all. Thank you, and God bless.
Let us resume our seats. Honorable Chancellor, sir, the persons who will be presented have fulfilled the requirements of the statutes and regulations of the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, and have been found worthy, both in character and in learning, to be admitted to the higher degrees of their various colleges. I therefore call upon the Dean of the Postgraduate School to present the graduates, starting with those of Masters and Postgraduate Diplomas. The Dean, Professor Adebayo.
Thank you, sir. With the higher degree graduates, masters and postgraduate diplomas, please rise and remain standing. Honorable Chancellor, sir, in the name of the Postgraduate School and the authority of Senate, I present to you the following: those present and those unavoidably absent, whose names appear in this list, and to whom I stand proxy, who have successfully completed their Masters of Science, Masters of Agriculture, and postgraduate diploma degree examinations, and who have been found worthy, both in character and in learning, to be admitted to the degree of Masters of Science, Masters of Agriculture, postgraduate diplomas of the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta.
By the authority of Senate, I admit each of you to the degree of Masters of Science, stroke Master of Agriculture, stroke Postgraduate Diploma of the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. Congratulations to all of you.
May I invite Professor G. Adebayo to come and present the graduates that have qualified to be awarded Doctor of Philosophy of Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta.
Will the Doctor of Philosophy graduates please rise and remain standing? Honorable Chancellor, sir, in the name of the Postgraduate School and the authority of Senate, absent, whose name appear in this list, and to whom I stand proxy, who have successfully of philosophy degree examinations and who have been found worthy, both in character and in learning, admitted
By the authority each of you
Taiwo Michael Oluwambe, Ogundeji Babatunde Ayodeji, Grillo O Adebayo, Lanlokun Olabisi Adeola, Adegoke Olaposi, Olubukumi, Adekola Afis, Aderinsayo, Olaiwola Olushola John, Aziz Ikimot Adeshola, Fadiji Oyinkansola Suleat, Ajari Riskut, Olawuni, Fagbemi Folashade Tinuke, Thomas Olusegun Emmanuel, Esue Stephen Etombe. And from the College of Physical Sciences, we have Oni Sarah Olufunsho, Olupemi Samuel Adeolu, Adebayo Latifa Olanike, Adesoji Adedoyin Oluseyi, Shotonwa Ibukun Oluwaseun, Ogunbiyi Emmanuel Olurotimi, Olúṣọlá Murtala Adéníyì, Akínwùmí Fatai, Oyèbọ̀dé Ebenezer Olúkúnlé, Fálànà Ọlọ́runjùbẹ́ James, Ugege Peter Edemewe, Tinubu Caroline Ọ̀rẹ́olúwa, Abíóyè Tèmítọ́pẹ́ Elizabeth, Mustapha Abiodun Muhyiddin, Adeleke Olúṣèyí and crop protections. We have Onolapo, Musiliat Mopelola, Olúbọ̀dé Ayọ̀olúwa Adebanke, Tobore Anthony Olumiji, Alasirin Sikiru Yusuf, Olutoberu Taiwo Samson, Olowogboko Toyin Blessing, Ekebafe Mariam Ozasuda, Komolafe Ronke Justina, Aderiniola Adebowale Patrick, Adewusi Kayode Matthew, Adedibu Okunyinka Bosola, Towoju Fumilayo Elizabeth, Adeoti Adewale Opeyemi, Mokunye Idon Cecil Umana, Otuonye Asuka Henry, Ojo Olayinka Oluyemi, Owolabi Christiana Olushola, Oni Olanrewaju Emmanuel, Adeshola Titilola Ajoke, Ajani Oluseyi Ayodeji. And from the College of Agricultural Management and Rural Development, we have Joshua Yila, Olabode Olubumi John, Ugalai Ujuma Benedict, and Honorable Chancellor, sir, the next person I'm going to call is actually a posthumous award. Dr. Falola Olua Toyin Abosede passed away few weeks after defending an oral exam, and I'm not sure if the family is Friday David Oluwafemi, Ismaila Adeleye Abiodun Adesile, Ogunpaimo Olawola Jamiu, Adegoke Adeola Victor, Agbongai Osage Wisdom, Mafimidiwo Ayotunde Natalian, Adebayo Babatunde John, Akinjute Obafemi Folusho, Odeyemi Adebisi Joshua, Amisu Ahmed Adeyemi, and from the College of Veterinary Medicine, Honorable Chancellor, sir, this candidate also, Dr. Salihu Timothy, passed away after the defense of his thesis. And sir, we have the family here to receive the scroll on his behalf. I go on to the College of Food Science and Human Ecology. We have Faloye Opeyemi Rachel, Soretire Ayodele Adebayo, Ọ̀rẹ́sànyà Tolúlọpẹ́ Ọmọwùmí, Ọ̀yáfájọ́ Latifa Adédàmọ́lá, Olútáyọ̀ Kọ́láwọlé Olúkúnmi, Ọdúnbàkú Stephen Olúgbénga, Olúrìn Tèmítáyọ̀ Kòfowórọlá, Mojid Adéọlá Mary. And from the College of Environmental Resources Management, we have Okafo Angela Tochukwu, Emilimo Patience Indidi, Ajado Edward Oluwarotimi. While from the College of Engineering, we have Aderele Adeyemi Adio, Omotaise Peter Olugbenga, Oson Ipeju, Lifidin Lekan, Igba Uvie Gere Tobit, Henry Osho Tolulope Christiana, Raji Akim Abimbola, Azodo Adilife Patrick. And from the Center of Excellence in Agricultural Development and Sustainable Environment, we have Jinodu Manel Gerald. And lastly, we have Okunbol Gbemisola Oluseun. And there is a supplementary list which starts also from the College of Health Sciences. Osemena Happiness Onye. And from the College of Plant Science and Crop Production, we have Okoro Ipuakonam, George, Fashola Olutoye Olushola, Ibrahim Alima Musa, Raif, Aderele Adeyemi Adio, Olanipekun Ayorinde Joseph. And from the Center of Excellence in Agricultural Development and Sustainable Environment, we have Moncho Koku Muredorian.
You can all resume your seats. Chancellor, sir. Now call upon the Chancellor, the Chairman of Senate of Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, Professor Olushola Adekinde, to deliver his convocation address.
Thank you very much. Please, you may be seated. Thank you. Your Excellency, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces and visitor to the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, Your Excellencies, the President of the Senate, Speaker of the House of Representatives, and Head of Service of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Ogun State, the Deputy Governor of Ogun State, Education ably represented here, Honorable Chancellor and Chairman of Convocation, His Eminence, Edinem Okon Abasio to the Fifth, the Obong of Calabar, Executive Secretary, National Universities Commission, the Executive Secretary, Tertiary Education Trust Fund, Tertiary Education Minister for Agricultural Development, Director, Federal Minister of Education, in charge of Tertiary Education, the Chancellor and Chairman of the Governing Council, Alhaji Umar Ahmed Sene, Vice Chancellors, Boards and Rectors of other institutions here present, Deputy Vice Chancellors of the Federal University of Agriculture, Deans, Directors, Heads of Academic and Administrative Departments and Units, distinguished professors and members of the University Congregation, our distinguished Convocation lecturer, members of the university community, not failing to recognize the principal officers, the former principal officers of the university, and former members of staff of the university here present, our dear graduates, the parents and guardians here present, members of the print and electronic media, all other invited guests and well-wishers here present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and of course, great Funabites, great Funabites, great Funabites. Thank you very much. I want to start by appreciating the Almighty God for the privilege given to the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, to play host to this distinguished gathering and eminent personalities from far and near who have celebrated us on this special occasion of the 30th Convocation ceremony of the university. I welcome you all on behalf of management, Senate, staff, students, and entire members of the university community. Thank you for honoring our invitation. I'm highly delighted to welcome especially the visitor and Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, CFR, ably represented by the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, Dr. Ernest Afolabi Umakihe. You're welcome, sir. Mr. President, sir, I use this rare opportunity to congratulate Your Excellency on your victory at the last polls and to wish your administration huge success as Your Excellency continues to serve the country and her citizens. I also express my deep appreciation to the federal government and the former Funaab Governing Council, headed by Alhaji Umar Ahmed CNA, for giving me the rare privilege of serving the university as the 7th substantive Vice Chancellor. Let me also welcome all top government functionaries, our royal fathers, religious leaders, captains of industries, as well as our distinguished friends and associates who have contributed one way or the other to the growth of our university. May God bless you all. Perhaps I should add that today's program is very dear to me because this is the first I am privileged to host in my capacity as the 7th substantive Vice Chancellor, having assumed duties about 5 months ago. This short time notwithstanding, our administration has continued to pursue the realization of the university's vision, mission, and mandates as laid down by its founding fathers and in accordance with the statutes establishing the university. We have never relented in maintaining high academic and moral standards, which were made possible by the contributions and dedications of all members of staff. In producing well-behaved and cultured graduates who are excelling in all facets of life. The university has continued to witness noticeable progress and development since inception to this date. And on this note, I want to especially appreciate all those who have held positions of responsibility in this university. Thank you very much. Time will fail me to read all the names. To corroborate the above assertion, I am proud to inform this auspicious gathering of eminent personalities that in the last Times Higher Education's Sub-Saharan Africa ranking of universities released in June this year, the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, was rated second best in Nigeria. And by interpretation, the best public university in Nigeria and the 26th in Sub-Saharan Africa. The rankings assess the top universities in Sub-Saharan Africa based on various performance indicators encompassing 5 pillars. Number 1, access and fairness. Number 2, Africa impact. Number 3, teaching skills. Number 4, student engagement. And finally, resources and finance. The announcement of THE Sub-Saharan African University rankings was made on Monday, June 26, 2023, during the organization's inaugural forum held in collaboration with Ashesi University in Ghana. The rankings, developed in partnership with the MasterCard Foundation, evaluated 88 universities from 17 countries across the region. We know that without the backing of the federal might, in terms of funding, this feat will have remained unachievable. We are therefore grateful to the federal government and its relevant agencies, including Tertiary Education Trust Fund, National in terms of infrastructural development and academic excellence. Less than 72 hours ago, 10 numbers of gigantic and modern projects were commissioned by some selected personalities who could be described as authorities in their own right and who have made positive impacts in one way or the university selected these dignitaries for the commissioning of the projects to show them that Nigeria as a nation recognized and appreciated their contributions over the years and to encourage others to emulate them. The projects that were completed and commissioned were 200 capacity undergraduate students hostel, that was known as 300 sister lecture theater with private center, digital rooms, 300 sister lecture theater known as auditorium, 300 sister lecture theater known as Auditorium 3, academic office complex with seminar rooms and e-library. Number 7, postgraduate students hostel. Undergraduate students hostel 1, undergraduate students hostel 2, and the cola name phase 2. On this note, I want to especially thank and appreciate the immediate Vice Chancellor, Professor Felix Kolawole Salako, who initiated and started this project. At the time he was leaving office, this project was in various stages of completion. We doubled our efforts, and on Thursday, 2 days ago, these projects were commissioned and they will be put to use in the next 1 week. Others in the category of infrastructural development include judicious utilization of 2022 Federal Government of Nigeria capital grants for several projects. All these projects, including purchase of equipment and renovation of facilities, have been completed. Provision of palliatives to the Camp University Access Road on several locations. We will say 1 or 2 things when we get there. Judicious utilization of 2023 Federal Government of Nigeria capital grants has commenced, and in a matter of months, it will be completed. Establishment of TED Fund Research Laboratory and Demonstration Farm. This is a 1 billion naira project given to our university by the TED Fund in appreciation of the way we have been judiciously utilizing resources on this campus. Renovation of sporting facilities at the University Sports Center, improvement on the aesthetics and beauty of the university, which is glaring right from the main entrance, that is the main gate, and extending to the entire campus. General administration and research activities. On this campus, we have tried to maintain a very peaceful working and learning atmosphere among staff and students. There has been improvement in research activities in the sense that Funaab staff won various grants through the TED Fund National Research Fund. In addition, our staff won several donor-funded researches. There are quite a lot of them. I won't want to bore you, but they are listed in the table. Local and international donor-funded researches were won by our university. Also, planting of additional 2,000 teak and melina trees on campus within the last 3 months. This is something we met and which we are continuing. Establishment of quality assurance unit in the Directorate of Academic Planning, and the unit has since commenced operation. We initiated the Journal Publication Support Funds for academic staff who are publishing. We also established the Revenue Enhancement and Monitoring Unit to facilitate an increase in the internally generated revenue of the university. In addition, that unit is supposed to attract donors and benefactors and ensure prudent resource management. Strengthening of the Servicom unit of the university to ensure efficiency in functionality of the organs, the departments, and all units in the university. As we speak, 2 athletes of this university, the coach sponsored by this university, are presently in China, representing Nigeria at the World University Games. At this juncture, distinguished guests, please permit me to mention some of our ongoing projects and future actions of administration. We will establish the Indigenous Knowledge System Program. This actually to harness the indigenous knowledge that are bound around us, so that we'll be able to we'll open the doors for people from outside this community to come and learn about such systems. Revitalization of the 2002 ETF Center of Excellence in Aquaculture and Fisheries, which when fully revitalized, will contribute significantly to the fish needs of the entire Southwest. The expansion of the broadband project of the National Communications Commission is ongoing throughout campus. We are one of the beneficial universities in this project. The solar farm project, which is aimed at generating 3 megawatts of electricity, is progressing steadily. A 100 hectares cassava farm project is presently ongoing in conjunction with the Association of Deans of Agriculture in Nigeria. Operations and partnerships. Success has many siblings, while failure is an orphan. Those two, the saying goes. This Chief Farms Limited and Komati, a popular household name in Nigeria. The University of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences of Imo State, the Center for Tropical Livestock Genetics and Health, Roslin Institute, University of Edinburgh, Scotland, United Kingdom, National Support Program, Abuja, Nigeria, Love World Institute of Innovation Technology. And it is pertinent to note that what this collaboration seeks to do is to take our inventions, the things we have come up with, off the shelf and link us up with industrialists that will make this get to the market, and by so doing, the society will be the better for it. The Center for Climate Change and Disaster Management, Shuane University of Technology in South Africa, we have already signed the MOU with them. Funaab Alumni Association. And on this note, distinguished guests, let me mention that I have it here that Funaab alumni are currently repainting the university library and establishing a tech hub on campus. And please permit me to just mention a few based on what our convocation lecturer said this morning. That project actually is being facilitated by Mr. Shewonik Mide. Mr. Shewonik University, knowing that of funding, he saw the library where he used to read and said, this library must have a facelift. I still remember when I used to come here, sometimes sleep overnight, and as we speak, workers are there renovating the university library. Because of Mr. Shimoni and two of his friends are doing that. In addition, I had a meeting with them. I met with them, and they told me that they want to establish a tech hub in this university. They say, Mr. Shimoni read electrical engineering, but today he's collaboration partnership with the Zhangjiang Zhongguo Mechanical Equipment Company Limited, a Chinese company focusing on the establishment of a demonstration and experience hub in Funaab, as well as investing in mechanized farming in maize, cassava. A former minister in the Bahamas got One 118 graduated with first class honors degree. 1,094 in the second class upper division. 1,397 in the second class lower division, while 188 had third class. The remaining 26 graduates earned the veterinary medicine degree, which is not categorized or classified. We have the table there. Similarly, today in this auditorium, for higher degrees, the university is graduating a total of 16 postgraduate diploma students, 215 master's degree holders, and 113 PhD holders in various fields. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I will not end this address without mentioning the issue of the access road to this university. I use this occasion to draw the attention of the federal and state governments to the deplorable condition of the university access road. I appeal on behalf of the university community and thousands of other road users to the government to come to our aid in fixing Funaab Camp Junction access road, which is gradually becoming a death trap for its users. And for everyone present here, I want to salute your doggedness and your perseverance in still coming to grace this occasion, passing through that road. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. In conclusion, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, with a heart full of gratitude to God Almighty, to the federal government, to the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, to the Federal Ministry of Education, to the National Universities Commission, to the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, and to the entire friends and well-wishers of our noble institution, the second best in Nigeria. I welcome you all once again to the 30th Convocation. Thank you for listening so intently. God bless Funaab. Amen. God bless Ogun State. Amen. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Amen. Thank you very much.
Let's resume our seats. Honorable Chancellor, sir, It is time to take the goodwill messages from visiting institutions. May I invite the Vice Chancellor, Professor Olushola Babatunde Kehinde, to come and receive the visiting Vice Chancellors. May I call on Professor Isaac Odunayo, who is representing the Vice Chancellor of Chrisland University, to come and present his goodwill message. Professor Babatunde Idowu, Vice Chancellor, Glorious Vision University. Professor B.J.O. Ayorinde, representing the Vice Chancellor of Taisulayin University of Education. And Professor Nosa Oswen Ibe, Vice Chancellor, Caleb University, Imota, Lagos. As we do that, let me quickly recognize the presence of some dignitaries that have joined us since the program started. We have with us Olori Adija Matemilola, the wife of the Olowu of Owu. His Royal Majesty Oba Jimoh Oyetunji Olanipekun, the Ataoja of Osogbo land, is here with his beautiful wife. His Royal Majesty Oba Kehinde Gbadewole Olugbenle Ashade Agunloye IV, the Olu of Ilaro and paramount ruler of Yewa land, is with us. Kábíyèsí o. His Royal Highness Oba Benjamin Olanite, the Olu of Imeko, is here with us. We also have with us the Deputy Director of the Department of State Security, Alhaji Ahmed Ali. In the Chancellor's entourage, we have His Royal Highness Edem Ita Essien, His Royal Highness Etubom Architect Basi Eyondem, His Highness Etiyin Ekpo Achibong, His Highness Chief Engineer Ekpeyong, and also Chief Dr. Anthony Efiom. In the entourage of our convocation lecturer, we have with us retired Major General Henry Ayamasowe, a former registrar of Nigerian Defense Academy, Kaduna. We also have his wife, Engineer Mrs. Oluseyi Ayamasowe, Director General, Bayelsa State Tourism Development and Hotels Agency. We also have with us Dr. Jude Akubude, the Chancellor, sir. I now have the privilege and honor to call upon the visitor to this university, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, to come and deliver his convocation address as is represented by the Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, Dr. Nabushi.
The Chancellor, His Royal Eminence, the Obong of Calabar, our guest lecturer, our own Amazon, Madam Due Process. I thank you for your thought-provoking lecture. Of course, the foundation is very key, which is primary literacy and numeracy. As I speak, for those of us who are maybe close to 60 years of age, think back of the primary school you attended. Is it still standing? In some cases, houses have overtaken them. Things have fallen off. All we hear is this. So I'm going to take it up as my own personal NGO. I'm going to start shaming every one of us. I will take you back to your root and tell you what is the state. Our royal fathers and mothers present, religious leaders, the VC, deputy VC, and other principal officers, eminent scholars, the representative of other universities, former VCs of this great university, parents of graduates, our graduates, the reason why we are here, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen of the press, good afternoon. It also shows the university's contribution to ensuring food security, employment generation, and wealth creation in the country. I'm happy to felicitate with you the new graduates of the university in the successful completion of your various courses of study in the university. You have all been found worthy in character and learning to be awarded the degrees of this university. I also rejoice with your parents, guardians, and families in being able to inculcate virtues of hard work and honesty in your children to see them through their academic efforts. As you know, this administration of renewed hope and shared prosperity equally prioritizes education as it is important to every individual, the life of every nation, and the bedrock of national development. Thus, we will work with every tier of government to ensure that children have the right to full arts, which amended Section 16 of the Constitution to direct its policy towards ensuring strategies that guarantee full security of the nation regarding availability, accessibility, and affordability of food to the citizens are initiated, undertaken, and implemented. In essence, the principle is about the obligation of the three tiers of government to respect, protect, and fulfill the rights of citizens to food by enshrining appropriate policies, managing the environment, and providing food for all. While committing ourselves to building a new Nigeria that will require individuals' ingenuity and youthful energy to expedite the rebuilding process, I call on everyone to key into the in this regard, I appreciate all dignitaries, officials, graduates, parents, and well-wishers for participating and it's a huge success. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Let us resume our seats. Honorable Chancellor, I wish to invite the Vice Chancellor, Professor Olushola Babatunde Kehinde, a presentation to the convocation lecturer, as it is our custom.
May I humbly invite the 30th convocation lecturer of our university, Dr. Mrs. Obi Ezekwesili. Thank you, ma'am. On behalf of the Senate, the management, staff, students, and the entire community of the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, we present this award of honor Catherine Ezekwesili, CFR, as the 30th convocation lecturer of the university, dated this day, Saturday, 12th August. Congratulations, ma'am. Thank you. We have enjoyed your lecture. You have challenged us, and we assure you, this will not just be another lecture. Fruits will come up from this lecture. This nation will be better for it as a result of today's lecture. Thank you so very much, ma'am. Before you go, man, please let me collect. Before you go, man, we're University of Agriculture, and we practice what we teach. It is with delight that I therefore want to present you with this basket containing products from our university. Now, please be assured that none of the items here was bought from outside. They were all produced on this campus. We've been doing it and we'll continue to do it and to get better at doing it. Thank you so very much, man. Yes, man.
Distinguished audience, you know what I love the most? They used a transparent cover to cover the to be very clear that it is products of this university that you gave me. Oh, I didn't collect any other thing from you.
Thank you very much, our student union. Before we round up, let me quickly recognize the presence of our immediate past members of the governing council. We have with us Alhaji Umar Ahmed, CNA, immediate past pro-chancellor of the university. Alhaji Inu Tahir, MNI, the member of the governing council, was a member. Mr. Adegboyega Adebajo, also a member. Dr. Selina Shitman Ghana, Ms. Halima Lawal, Dr. Dayo Oduwole, Professor Biodun Badmos, and Dr. Olusegun Ogundiran. Distinguished guests, I have the permission of the Vice Chancellor to request for an appreciative clap for the Bursar of the University, Mr. Chukwuwike Ezekwesili, who will be bowing out of office next week, Tuesday. That is our Chancellor of Exchequer. For the past 6 years, he will be leaving the position by next week, Tuesday. Thank you. Let me use that to also deeply appreciate the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, for giving me the opportunity to serve as the registrar of the university for the past 6 years. This will be my last convocation as conduct.
Yes. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, our registrar, indefatigable registrar, Dr. Hakeem Bola Adekola, will also be bound out of office on the 30th of September 2023. Thank you so much for the services you have rendered unto us. We appreciate you, sir. Ditto to the University Bursar, Mr. Chukwuwike Ezekwesili. Thank you so very much.
On this note, may I humbly invite the Chancellor of the University to come and declare the convocation ceremony closed.
I hereby declare this 30th convocation ceremony closed. Thank you, and God bless all of us.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, as we are drawing the curtain of the 30th convocation ceremony, please, I want you to kindly note this information. Please, apart from the academic procession, no one is permitted to exit this auditorium. The first thing is that we are going to allow the academic procession to exit this auditorium through the main entrance. Please, let's give honor to whom honor is due. We don't want it to be rancorous. We don't want it to be rowdy. Let's allow the academic procession to exit this auditorium through the main entrance, while the rest of us will remain standing. Please, Madam Due Process is here. If you violate it, Madam Due Process will arrest you. Thank you so much. And also, we also want to tell our specially invited guests that in our tradition of hospitality, we shall be hosting you at the Pro-Chancellor's Lodge. Please, there is only one card admits the invited guest. If you are not invited, you have no business going there. Please, we want to establish this. We all love you, but we know that honor must be given to honor, must be given to whom honor is due. Thank you so much. Right now, we take first and foremost Funaab anthem, then thereafter the national anthem. Thank you all for coming. Thank you so much.
Great and blessed, for the mouse
the applause for the best public university in Nigeria. We have drawing the curtain of the 30th Convocation ceremony. Now Funaab national anthem, please.
Nigerians all obey to serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith. The labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. To serve with heart and mind, one nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Thank you, please. Let's allow the academic procession from this side of this auditorium to please exit through the main entrance, where the rest of us will remain as standing in honor of the academic procession. We want to thank you, sir, our visitor, for coming. We appreciate you, sir. You have been with us since Thursday. We appreciate you. Our Chancellor, the Obong of Calabar, Baba, we sincerely appreciate you. We appreciate our Convocation lecturer, the one and only Madam Process. You are highly appreciated. Thank you, the Vice Chancellor of the best university in Nigeria, Professor Olusegun Kehinde. We appreciate you. Of course, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academics, Professor Christian Ikiobi, we appreciate you. The Deputy Vice Chancellor of Development, Professor Kola Adebayo, we appreciate you. The University Librarian, Dr. Abayomi Olabi, we appreciate you. And of course, the outgoing registrar, as registrar, Dr. Kola Adekola, and of course, the bursar, Mr. Chukwuwike Isepiazu, also outgoing. We thank you all. We want to appreciate Balogun Festus Kehinde for coming, the immediate past general manager of OGTV. We appreciate you. The chairman of NUJ, Mr. Wale Olarewaju, and the secretary of NUJ, Mr. Bumi Adigun. We appreciate you. We appreciate our immediate past vice chancellor, Professor Felix Kolawole Salako. We appreciate you. Professor Bolanle Akinulale, we appreciate you. Kabiyesi, the paramount ruler of Yewa land. Kabiyesi Oba Dr. Kehinde Olugbenle, we appreciate you. The Kabiyesi Onimeko of Imeko, we appreciate you. Dr. Salisu Taufik, Pioneer University Librarian, we appreciate you. Emeritus Professor Mrs. Ayoka Oluwafunmilayo Adebambo, we appreciate you. Former DBCA Professor Igodaro Eromosele, we appreciate you. Former DBCA Professor Oluwayemisi Eromosele, we appreciate you. Former DBCA Professor Tony Arowolowo, we appreciate you. Former DBCA Professor Waheed Adekojo, we appreciate you. Former DBCA Professor Chrissy Kobuka, we appreciate you. Immediate former acting registrar and former immediate past head of public relations, Dr. Miss Linda Owuka, we appreciate you.